Hello again, Mayor, City Council, as well as others on the board. You may remember me from last week and my proposal for urban hens within the city limits of Florence. The proposal that would almost mirror Erlanger's ordinance, the one that's been successful for almost 2 years. So I come before you again because I am a persistent member of the community. When I say persistent, I mean I chose to be here tonight with all of you instead of being out to dinner with my husband on our anniversary. I'm not determined. So where do I begin? I know I discussed much of last week about the benefits, and I just wanted to add a little bit to that with the immense research that I've conducted over just this week alone. And trust me, I'm a scholar, I love your research. So let's talk just a little bit more again about the benefits of having fresh eggs. According to a study by the University of Kentucky, fresh hens are the best option over commercially laid eggs because they have 1/3 less cholesterol, 1/4 less saturated fat, 2/3 more vitamin A, 2 times more omega-3 fatty acids, 3 more times vitamin E, and 7 times more beta carotene. I mean, wow, that's amazing in itself. I mean, I definitely would prefer that my children get these vitamins from a natural source instead of having to substitute with supplements. As previously discussed, I also discussed about having pests in our backyards. Mosquitoes are horrible in my area, and I spend $80 a month to have it sprayed. We're still putting off on ourselves because it's just that bad in the area, because we live there in Erlanger by that creek. So, I mean, there's nothing we can do about that. Not only do hens hunt pests such as mosquitoes, they eat ticks, hornworms, termites, mice, flies, June bugs. I'm sure there's a lot more, but if you're an avid gardener like me, I would prefer to have a chicken help rid me of these pests than to spray chemicals on my fruits and vegetables to protect my garden from rot disease. So that they can also provide these services from their runners, because I, again, discussed I'm not for free-range chickens rather than being in runners. So I'll stop there with the benefits right now, because again, I outlined them last week for you. But since I brought up the word disease, let's talk about that. That seems to be the word of contention right now. Well, I did not get an answer last week, technical answer last week, as to why some of you may oppose my proposal. I would say disease would be a primary concern. I'm sure people are concerned about that. Well, according to the CDC, the disease that may actually be a concern amongst hens is Salmonella. This is a potential risk even when we buy store-bought eggs. Yes, I understand there's a potential risk for caretakers of hens, but that's only if they are not cleaning their coops and runners as directed and then washing their hands after doing so. Again, according to the CDC, there were only 2 deaths from what could have been potential Salmonella, within 49 states. 2 in 49 states. And even then, it was listed that it could not be confirmed that the Salmonella was contracted by their urban hens. This brings me to the green movement, because these like-minded individuals who are interested in living a more eco-friendly lifestyle create programs, training classes to teach and instruct others how to garden, compost, raise urban hens. These groups not only help to educate like-minded people, but also lawmakers and the public. And while that is another primary motivation, should this proposal be approved, I would love to enact a training program that would allow volunteers like me to educate the public and train them on how to properly raise these hens to prevent any type of disease that may come with having urban chickens. I'll leave you with this. According to PETA, a large majority of our chickens live in spaces that are less than a sheet of paper. Urban hens will have a plush lifestyle, basically living the life and being treated as pets, not stacked against each other, being abused. Having less than Hens in a clean environment not only helps our residents, your constituents, but also the communities. I'm gonna go off script here a little bit though, because I did have a conversation, this afternoon with Josh, and that wasn't kind of part of it, part of what I typed up. So, after speaking with him, I'm aware that any changes within the zoning must be initiated by Florence City Council as a request to amend the text to Boone County Planning Commission. That is what I'm proposing. I'm proposing that you pass this so then we can get to the next part. That next part is to go to the Boone County Planning Commission and do the rezoning. Yes, it's a little bit, well, it might be a lot of work. I'm willing to help in any way that I can. I will also say that I heard somewhere that someone, and again, it was probably a conversation that I had with Josh, that, you know, maybe one person who wants chickens, it's 1-to-1. I disagree. I recently took a poll, and again, the sample size is very limited because it wasn't all of Florence residents. But it's actually 3-to-1. 3 people want chickens as opposed to 1 person that does not want chickens. So I just end with saying that I would appreciate your approval of this, the proposal of this ordinance, and I will be here weekly. You're gonna get sick of me. I'm just gonna say that. But I do appreciate your time, and see you guys next week.
Angie, can you answer a question real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Your poll that you took,
Yes.
was that 3-to-1 people that don't want to deal with chickens in their house, or is that 3-to-1 people that don't want the city to allow chickens? Cause I don't want to deal with a chicken in my yard, but I'm happy to let you have a chicken.
Right, so the way that I worded, I basically, I don't have it put up in front of me, but I basically said, I'm going to city council, this is what I'm proposing, would you support me? I had 67% of actually, approved the fact that, we would allow the ordinance, with only 31% against. And again, the sample size is small. It would be great if we would be able to maybe send out something and get an actual vote from the residents of Florence, because not all, it was a Boone County website. I mean, come to find out, you know, I learned a lot today talking with Josh. I thought Boone County, that most of Boone County was allowed to have it, it was just Florence that couldn't. So that alone kind of lit the fire, because I'm like, nah, that's not how it's gonna work. Again, because I'm just a persistent person who advocates for what I believe in. But yeah, I think that if we had a wider sample size and actually sampled all of the residents of Florence, I think you guys would be shocked to know that how many people want this lifestyle. It's a great opportunity because it goes in with a homestead type of lifestyle. It's a green way of thinking. It's a way of I grow my garden, my scraps go, could potentially go to my chickens if I'm allowed to have chickens. They'd help me with my pests. I'm not having to pay all this money to have somebody come in and keep spraying my yard. And, I've asked our street about it. If I went to city council, I have my neighbor here supporting me. If I went to city council, I proposed this and they allowed it. How would you feel if I got chickens? She's here supporting me. So, I go to say that I think that, maybe several years ago, the mentality was different. I think things are changing. I think we are going a more eco-friendly green lifestyle. And I think that, including them as pets, as opposed to, getting them from the store, not knowing what they're being fed and the nutrients we're actually getting from them. And I just think it would be a great lifestyle. So I would appreciate your vote to approve.
Freedom.
And be willing to do what I need to do to help within the community. Because like I said, I'm more than willing to volunteer and do my part to make sure that everything went smoothly.
And what was that process that Ellesmere had for?
So Ellesmere is running a pilot program. And I have the paper right here.
This would not be applicable to what we would have to have a zone change process. So their earlier ordinance in Ellesmere should not be applicable.
Well, I think But
here.
the point that I wanted, I think I heard that they were contacting the neighbors of each person that wanted.
That was
Right,
part of the
we
process.
still have to have a zone change process.
Which, and I understand that, and what I'm saying is, just me coming here and asking you to pass this proposal would, or ordinance, wouldn't just automatically, the residents would be allowed to have chickens. I totally understand that. What I'm saying is that it would then allow us to go through the process of the Boone County Planning Commission and start getting some things in motion and zoning for people who want this as a lifestyle, who want to be able to have
To be
urban
free.
chickens. And I mean, that's where I'm going with it. I understand that me just saying, pass it, this would be great. I understand there's a process. I want the wheels process to start is where I'm going with it, so that's what I'm asking for.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I just wanna say, to Mrs. Cable, I appreciate your passion, and I think your proposal is very clear and nicely done. And I admire your knowledge and your lifestyle, really. I'm restricted by my HOA in Florence. I think a lot of Florence is restricted by HOAs. I think people that live in HOA environments live there because they don't want to deal with other people's gardens. And
Sure.
I lived in a non-HOA in Florence, and we moved because we wanted to have that curbside appeal. But that's not the case for every neighborhood, and I think that, we're, in Boone County overall, we're dealing with less and less land. There aren't as many farming opportunities, and if you're gonna live in Boone County, the cost to live on a farm is very restrictive. So, it's my opinion that, we discussed this further, I think that, not understanding that these hens would be contained and that there is education involved, I think, city council should discuss further. I don't know what the next step means.
And I'd like to point out too, Bill, is if we could get this pushed through and get zoning, we were able to actually get this enacted, then we can push for HOA to allow it, for the members of HOA that do want it, and I understand some HOA don't.
No
I don't
way.
think HOAs are gonna allow it.
No.
That would be great.
Okay, well, and the point is, I'm
appreciate
not
your-
in an HOA, so.
My nephews have, I told you, my nephews have chickens, they love their chickens, there ain't no way in heck I want chickens next to me. I appreciate your passion, more power to you, I don't even vote on this, but, you have one thought process, there's as many people on the other side.
I totally
And
understand that.
I do not like Facebook, it's a terrible place it's not how we make decisions, because the people that respond, you are sweet and I just love your approach, I love everything you're doing, I respect your passion, I think you're up on the up and up, and nobody wants to go against you because you're such a nice person, but they really may not want chickens, so they said, you phrased it as, would you join me? Nobody's gonna wanna be against you, cause you're so passionate about this.
I appreciate that, so then my proposal would be, what can we do to get an actual vote where, I'm not the face of it, just, I know we did this with the aquatic center, I remember getting a letter in the mail that said, hey, we're kinda talking about this, what do you think? Why couldn't we go that route?
I would just say that I know council, has visited this issue not that long ago, and they went through the whole process, and it was quite a lengthy process. If there's desire, I would encourage council to reach out to me in the next, week, we're gonna be meeting again tomorrow, so we can discuss it, and if there's a desire, then we'll move forward.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate your time,
Absolutely, more power
I'll
to
see you
you.
guys next week, thank you.